Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncy-Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together. Diane, I am so excited to talk to you. I am really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about AI, about women in the entrepreneurial space, because you've been in website design and digital marketing for over 17 years. So you're bringing some rich experience to the table that I think we're going to benefit from. What first sparked your interest in designing websites and helping small businesses?
I fell into it by accident. It was nothing I went to school for or sought out to do. I was trying to be a novelist, actually, and I was in a bunch of writers groups in Chicago. And this girl came in one day. This was 2004 or 5, probably. And this girl came in one day and she was like, "Oh, I just got a new website." And this was back when websites were new and weird. And we were all like, "Oh, let's see, whatever." And she was like, it was just the ugliest thing I had ever seen. I just was like, "Oh my God, that's terrible." And she was like, "Yeah, I only paid $400 for it." And I was like one of those things made you think, right? Because of course, back then that seemed like a lot of money for this weird, now that's nothing for a website. But back then it seemed like that's pretty decent money for this online business card. And I thought, I bet I could do better than that. So I taught myself Publisher and then taught myself Front Page and then taught myself some code and then taught myself Photoshop. And before you know it, I was making more money from building websites than I was from writing unfinished novels. It just became a thing. It just took off. And then I just really fell in love with it. It's really perfect for me. I love the marketing psychology. I love the design. I love the creativity and I love the strategy. It's a really good blend of a bunch of things I really enjoy.
And I love that you say that because Sway Rise Creative is built around strategy, design, and interestingly enough, soul searching.
Yes.
So I want to talk to you about that. Is like, how did those come together? Because that's a key piece of how you work with your clients. And I look at websites occasionally and think, wow, could have done a little soul searching there. Oh, and I'm speaking of my own websites, so nobody else to blame but myself. So I'm curious how those principles came together for you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So I noticed pretty early on, I didn't really know anyone else who was in business for themselves. Everybody I knew was working a 9 to 5. And like I said, I really fell into web design. So I was always looking for, okay, how do I do this marketing thing? How do I make it work? What's the right way to market, grow a business? I'm on the hunt for the solutions. And I realized pretty quickly, partly because I was seeing it, but I was really seeing it in my clients. I was witnessing it in my clients that there were a lot of clients that I saw who were killing it, that were breaking all the rules. And they were just really clear on who they were, what was amazing about what they did, who needed it, and how to talk to them. And I was like, that's interesting. And maybe they weren't on social media or they weren't growing a list or they weren't breaking whatever major online business marketing rule that was out there. And they were doing a great job. And so what I started to realize when I started to work with clients, I started to ask, instead of just asking, what colors do you want and what fonts and send me your pictures, instead of focusing on that stuff, I also started asking them questions of, what do you really enjoy about what you do? What's really fun about it for you? And then I found places to put that in the copy. Or what's your favorite thing about your clients? Or what's a really great win that you're proud of that happened? And when I started getting those answers from clients, I was like, man, that's where the copy is. That those are the rich answers. That's the stuff that really makes the site shine. So yeah, if you combine really smart marketing strategy with a little bit of like soul searching, you can come up with a better business plan, in my opinion.
Mhm. And you talk about that being incredibly practical for an entrepreneur, even going so far as to say that your website is your best employee. So
Yeah,
can
for
you
sure.
elaborate on that a little bit? Like, how does that function as a problem solver for your business?
Sure. So your website should be doing 3 things for you. It should be attracting clients, bringing in clients, converting clients, and it should be lifting the admin burden of your business. So really quickly, I'll run through them. It should be attracting clients and bringing clients in with good SEO or a good referral system or something that brings in traffic. And then it should be converting that traffic. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking about their website as like a two-dimensional display of information. But if you can shift your thinking to thinking about your site as a three-dimensional journey that you walk people through, then no matter where they are in their customer journey or how problem aware or solution aware they are, you can guide them toward your solution, like whatever it is that you want them to do, whether that's sign up for your list or book a discovery call or whatever they're ready for. And then finally, if you've got a really good website, it's not only doing those things, but it's also lifting some admin burden. It's automating your intake. It's automating maybe your offboarding. It's maybe, developing a really stellar FAQ section so your VA doesn't have to spend so much time on customer service. It's figuring out, of course, that's for a more advanced business, but once you get to that point that you're established, you've got to think about how to use the website to save you money and increase your bottom line.
I love that. And Squarespace seems to be a core tool in your design process, right?
For
So
me.
why do you prefer it? How do you leverage it? Ooh, there's passion here.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. It's amazing. Squarespace is my new best friend. So when I started building websites way back when, like I said, I started in like Publisher and Front Page and all the old school Dreamweaver and all that stuff. And then pretty quickly I started building sites in WordPress because if you were serious about building sites, you had to use that platform. It was the only one that was really customizable. It had a good framework. That was it. That's really the only option. Now, that is not the case. And Squarespace in particular, in my opinion, is stellar to work with because it fixes all the problems that gave me a nightmare with clients. I know now I feel so good launching a site for a client because I know they're not going to struggle to update it. As opposed to WordPress, where how do I add a hyperlink again? I don't know. I don't remember. It's not what we call a WYSIWYG site. It's not what is what you get. Like you have to do changes on the back end and then publish to see what it looks like. And Squarespace is just so intuitive and it's so clean. Like probably half my clients, I can just send them videos even to launch their site and they can just do it in 10 minutes. It's so tech friendly. So I really love working with Squarespace because I can give clients a stellar site and know that they're going to be happy with it.
I love it. And automating workflows is another service that you offer, right? So what are some of the most impactful automations for small business owners?
Uh, the biggest ones are, like I said, like lifting that admin burden. You're going to want to look at where are the bottlenecks in your business? So where are the constraints, particularly in onboarding and offboarding? Those are usually two big areas where your website can help and do some heavy lifting. Any Q&A, any answers, any customer service issues, almost any issue that you're having repeatedly, there's some way to stick it on the website, put the solution on a website and put it in a system or a process. If you can identify like what and where the bottleneck is, we can probably put something on your website to help ease the burden, whether that's decreasing churn in your membership or, like I said, saving your VAs some time with Q&A and stuff. But yeah, that kind of stuff. That's what I would look at.
Yeah. And do you see any areas where you're bringing a particular tool to the table? I know you talked about SEO being a big part of your process. Is there a particular tool that helps you with that?
Well, I would say not especially. It depends really on what the business owner needs. Squarespace, I think, is the core tool that I would say.
Mhm.
Then you just add on the email marketing platform that's right for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just depends on what you need. And everybody's business is different. Acupuncturists have a different sort of workflow than therapists, and everybody has their own things that we would integrate into the site.
And you've worked with hundreds of clients at this point.
Yeah.
What's one of the most memorable transformations that you feel like you've facilitated so far?
I don't know. I have so many. It's really typical for clients to see really good results if we just go in and tweak their messaging. If you just go in and work with a client on like those biggies, what do you do? Who do you do it for? How do we talk to them about it? if you give people a reason to choose you over your competition, that can improve your bottom line so much. It's not unusual to have people increase their bottom line like 30 to 50% after we fix their messaging, especially if they're a DIYer, because most DIYers just aren't used to thinking that way and aren't used to being strategic in how they lay out content on their site. And we can really do a lot to up conversions with that kind of thing. And then, but then I've had clients quit their day jobs. I've had clients in programs of mine or workshop students or clients. They were finally able to dump the 9 to 5 that they were doing. Or I had one client recently, she was a therapist and she was relying on a lot of group work and insurance work. And her dream was like just to be able to stop taking insurance. And she was able to do that. We worked on her site and implemented a few things. And I want to say within 3 months, within I think like 6 weeks, she dropped all of the insurance that she was doing, almost all. And then like within 3 months, she had dropped all the institutional group work and stuff that she was doing too. So she was able to just completely go private practice. And it really, yeah, freed up a ton of time. It was really good. Yeah.
That's kind of, see, now you've really touched on something to dive into, because a lot of people that I talk to, my own experience as well has been you're coming from a system of nose to the grindstone, burnout, intense, just like I have ignored myself for a job for a very long time. And there is a draw to an entrepreneurial space where I hold on to this vision, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that I can finally own myself again, my time, my purpose, my space. And I know that's a real struggle for a lot of people coming into an entrepreneurial space, just suffering from this history of burnout. And I know that you've dealt with that too. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, absolutely. When I was running the WordPress design agency, I listened to everybody else and everybody's saying scale, build your business. And so I scaled. I got bigger. So I hired people and took on a ton of clients and I ended up with this team. We had an in-person office. I went to work every day. And I was spending so much time doing HR tasks, managing this team, and I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And I was so sick of WordPress. I was so sick of all the updates and the plugins and, oh, the host got hacked again. And I just, it was driving me nuts. And I had this solution. I was like, I'm going to sell the business and then I'll just do consulting, which I did in 2015. And I thought that was going to fix my problem. It was going to be just me working again, no team, no code, none of the techie stuff. And it was just me helping clients grow their businesses. I was going to love it. But I burnt out again. It was a little better for a while, but by 2019, I had just had enough. I was like, I had an in-person office because I thought you're supposed to. And I was just not really listening to myself very well. And so I took a few years off and I tried every other way to make money online that you can. I did drop shipping and I tried to be an Amazon seller. I did POD stuff, print on demand stuff for a while. I did all kinds of stuff. And a couple years ago, I found Squarespace again. I rediscovered Squarespace and they had just launched their new builder Fluid Engine. And I was like, I think I can do this again, but it's going to be my way. And I started the business again and I was like, I'm going to run this the way I want to run it. And let's just see if anybody hires me. Maybe they won't. Like one of my big things is I hate talking on the phone. I hate it. I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone ever. No, get off the phone with me. And so like I'll do discovery calls, but then I don't ever want to talk to a client again. And I'm like, can you run a design business where you don't talk to people on the phone? Turns out you can, and clients love it and they're really happy about it. And I just really have found a way into doing work I really love. And I've started sharing it with other designers and I've got such a good response that I'm starting a membership in February it's called Designing Boundaries. And it's all about soft skills for designers. So how to learn what I've learned over the last several years.
Oh my goodness, that sounds exciting. So you're looking at this as, I want to learn more about this. So you're looking at this as you are going to teach people from the ground up how to become a designer themselves?
Nope, that's all on you. I assume that you've
Okay.
got some skills. I assume that you want to be a designer. You know how to do it. You've already got some stuff in place. And this
Okay.
really isn't for super newbies. I will have some I will have some resources for super newbies, but this is for people who've been at it a while and they're starting to get fatigued with client problems like giving up your weekend because the client won't stop asking for revisions, not knowing how to tell the client, no, I'm done working for you, stop. Or how do you deal with a client that doesn't know how to tell you what they want? Because a lot of clients don't. Some people don't know what they want. There are a lot of clients who don't even know what they're doing in their businesses yet. So they can articulate it to you, but some people just literally can't find the language or they're not visual thinkers. And so how do you extract the information from them so that you can build a great site? And clients who keep coming back, the scope creep, clients who keep, hey, just one more small thing. Hey, just one more small change. How do you rein that stuff in? And that's the stuff that I've become really good at. Again, partly because I've really started listening to myself and partly because I've been there. I've been building sites since 2006. Anything that could happen with a client has happened to me. And so I have all these solutions and fixes for all that stuff. And I just wanted to share it in a bigger way instead of just Facebook groups, which is what I've been doing the last couple of years.
That's fantastic. And I can imagine that when generative AI crept onto the scene, this probably sparked a little bit of a, well, this could be wonderful. Just imagining. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just imagining that you found it to be somewhat helpful.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's so funny too. I've been using AI in my business for a couple years now in a serious way. We've all been using it and I've had Grammarly for years, but like in a serious way, like using the generative AI. I was using Writer a couple years ago and things like that. So I've been using it to help, but this year is really when I went into it very hardcore and I use it all over my business and it makes so many things so much easier. And I didn't realize until recently that it actually ties into this membership. I was just going to teach soft skills. That was it, just client management. That's all the membership was going to be. And then I was on a networking call recently and I was talking to another web designer and I had talked about my membership. And of course, I talk about it and everybody's, oh my God, I need that. That sounds amazing. And this one guy was saying, yeah, I wish I had that a couple months ago because I took on this client and she's just not our right person. I think that's what it is. She's just not a fit for our agency. And I'm like, what went wrong? And he said, she won't give us her content. She either won't give it to us or she won't give it to us in the format that we asked for. Apparently, like for the logo, because he was like, we need your logo. Because he asked her, he said, do you have a logo? And she goes, yes. And he goes, okay, send it to us. So she drew it on a piece of paper, took a picture of it, emailed it to him. So, and she was like, just do something like this. And he goes, no, I didn't charge you a logo. Like, this is a problem. And that's a pretty easy fix. That's clarifying expectations with the client. That's fine. But the bigger issue was like she wasn't getting them content at all. She was dragging her feet, which a lot of clients do. And he was like, I just don't know what to do. And it was so funny because I was sitting there listening, and I was like, man, in this day and age, you should never have to wait on a client for content. You have Claude and Chat at your fingertips. Creating dummy content, good dummy content, is so easy. Put placeholder content in there and then offboard them. Tell them they can edit it on their own, give them tutorials or sell them on a maintenance package, whatever, but get rid of that client. Stop torturing them. And that was when I really put it together that, okay, it's not just soft skills, but it's also some practical skills. And that's what occurred to me is I was like, oh, he's not thinking of that because he doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't have the prompts. He doesn't have practice at that. He doesn't know how to really do that. And I'm like, okay, so I need to teach both.
And how has it evolved for you personally? That's what I'm wondering, because when we came on board with, this is what, 2022, I was deep into learning WordPress. I was figuring out how to put myself online, and I was turned on to Jarvis, which then, of course, quickly got slapped down by Marvel and turned into Jasper. And then from Jasper, my coach kept needling me. She's, you got to get in. Have you played with ChatGPT yet? Get in there, buy the subscription, start playing with it. And so that's the kind of thing. I hear that you're sharing that with others to help them get through their hurdles. How has it helped you?
Oh, it's changed everything. It makes everything so much easier and so much better. It's I don't a day doesn't go by that I'm not in some kind of AI, either generating content of some kind or having it help me with tasks or generating images. I'm in it every day for me and for clients. I just last night I've created so for the designing boundaries, I have it opens February 3rd. So I'm still creating the content and doing all the things and stuff, but I have the sales page completed and I have the outline of all my videos and everything and all the content that I'm going to create for it. And I needed to create a freebie. And what do? You go to Claude and you say, here's the freebie. I created a project and I'm like, here's all the content. This is what it's all about. By the way, Claude helped me write the sales page. I wrote the outline for the content, but Claude helped me write the sales page. And I'm like, okay, here's all the stuff. Brainstorm some freebies with me. Give me 5 to 7 freebies that I could do. And Claude goes, how about these? And I'm like, I like this one. Let's flesh this out. What's the outline look like? And oh, okay. Well, I don't like this one. I don't like this one. Change this. And again, use my content. This is a great outline. Flesh this out using the content that I've written. But it does. It saves me so much time. I use it to summarize my YouTube videos when I do interviews with people. I use it to help me write YouTube descriptions because that's hard for me. It will go through, it will look at the transcript, it'll read the transcript, and it'll give me a timestamp summary to put in the YouTube description. It's that kind of stuff that's just mind blowing, not to mention creating placeholder content for clients and creating graphics for clients and keeping things on brand. And there's a whole list of stuff there that there's a sonnet, a love sonnet I could sing to AI. So
Now, do you want a moment to sing? We can set that aside.
to come up with something, not to come up with good lyrics.
We just shift the whole show. It's a musical number tonight, folks. I love it. And
I'm sure I could get Claude to help with that.
you could. So you're also doing the 30 days of marketing, correct? With
Yes.
Bloom Bauer. And how did that get started?
Oh, that was such a fun thing. So Bloom and I are friends and we talk on a regular basis about our businesses and what we're doing. And I'd taken similar programs like that in the past where people were like, look, just look at what I do. Just look at what I did. I'm launching my program or I'm doing this thing. Look at how I'm doing it. And you get to see a pro kind of market something to their list, get something out there, do a webinar launch or whatever. And it's really motivating to see somebody go through the day to day. And I was like, we're not famous, but we know our stuff. I'm running a nice little business over here that I like. In a way, I think that's even more valuable to people. If some big fancy 7-figure entrepreneurs watch me launch my program, it's, no kidding. Of course, you had a fantastic launch. You've got 50,000 people on your list. Big fat hairy deal. Watch somebody who's like you. Maybe I'm just a step or two ahead of where you are in your business. Watch what I'm doing. See how I'm using these tools, see how I'm using AI, see how I'm interacting with clients, and see how I'm leveraging my time and energy to create what I hope is going to be a successful launch.
That's absolutely fantastic. And I am really happy to be a part of it. The fact that you bring up that someone like me doing this, it's that you're reminding me of what a friend of mine says. I'm the 5th grader teaching the 4th grader. That's
Yep.
what she constantly is talking about. I have this much more experience and I just want to show you what it looks like in this environment.
Yep.
And you're pulling them up. And I absolutely love that because I agree with you 100%. I do not need to hear from one more person that has a 7-figure email list. I don't know. No. How did you go from 0 to 60?
I think that's something a lot of people miss. People think they have to have it all figured out or have it perfect or have it like totally in their mind and be the big awesome thing, and that's not what people resonate with. I totally agree with what your friend said. I say something similar to clients all the time just to remind them that look, you don't have to be perfect for everyone in the whole world. There are going to be tons of people who are bigger than you, more successful than you, but you're helping the people who are just a couple steps behind you. That's another thing too, is you don't have to go back and teach to every single beginner. I'm really clear about designing boundaries. It's really not for super beginner web designers. Now, there may be fun things for a web designer to grow into as a part of it, but it's really aimed at those people who are seasoned enough to be jaded around client relationships. So it's like knowing that you're just aiming at a couple steps behind where you are. Those are the people who are going to be able to hear you the best. Your message is going to resonate the most with them. And you're just going to be such a help to those people. And so you don't have to do it perfectly or do everything perfectly. You just have to do what you're doing really well.
I love you talked about being just seasoned enough to be jaded. I love that because I got jaded when I did my beta. It was like, whoa, this is hurting cats. Second, because I had this imagination that everybody would just come running like, "Oh, this is so great. Please do this for me." And it's like, no, wait, I need this from you. Oh, wait, you didn't give me that yet. Yeah. And wait, no, you didn't give me that yet either. Huh? It's like literally hurting.
Yes, for sure. And this was a beta round for a program you launched?
This was a beta for when you launch your beta for designing for clients, right? And I started doing it. And of course, I got a couple, and oh, yes, I would love you to just make this gorgeous. About if we jump on a call. Fine, gorgeous for you. And so it was really interesting to me how I would automatically go to, say, ChatGPT and say, I really want you to help me gain some clarity around this. And this is where I first started really recognizing as a business, I need a thought partner.
Yeah.
I need someone that I can spitball things with. I need to not react to my own surprise, right? Because I'm learning everything as I'm going. So I need to not react. I need someone to think this through with me. And I would go to Chat GPT and I would say, okay, here's the wall I'm hitting. And I'm obviously not communicating clearly. Do you have moments like that where you're like, okay, I have a tool now that I know I can go to that helps me get over a particular hurdle? For me, it was Chat GPT. I needed someone to think this through with me. Do you have something like that? Or
That's so interesting. I don't think I really do. At this point, I have a few trusted partners. So I have a few people who are my go-tos. They're either where I'm at or maybe like a step or two ahead of me. And so I can go to them, whether I'm connected to them directly or I'm in a group with them or whatever, and I will go and seek out answer. If I'm in that kind of place where I'm like, man, I just need some perspective. Like I am in over my head. This was unexpected. I don't know how to mentally process this. I'm surprised or I'm confused. I typically will go to people who I know have experience with something.
Um,
But I do go to chat, and Claude's my go-to, but I do go to AI a lot for strategy help, for things like that, where I'm like, what am I missing here? I think I want to do this to promote this thing. What else am I missing? What else could I do? That kind of stuff.
I love it. So along with this membership, what's next for you?
That's the biggie. I'm trying very hard. I'm really feeling the strain of splitting my focus. I think there's a real fatigue that comes around when you work for yourself of doing too many different things. And I know that a lot of the reason that I've had success in the past is because I've been laser focused on one thing. And up until now, I've really been focused on just getting design clients and building my one-to-one business. And I don't want to stop doing that. I love what I'm doing. I love how I'm working with clients. I have one junior designer now who I love working with, who I trust. She's amazing. I do not want the big team again. Just a little bit of help with some of that work has been really great. So I want to keep that really going and scale it a little. But then I also want to grow the design biz. And I just don't want designers to feel like they can't do their work anymore or feel like they're terrified of it. I was talking to a woman a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying she was going to open a template shop. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Yay. Template shops are great. Why did you decide to do that? And she said, because I just can't handle the client work anymore. I can't deal with the clients. And that just broke my heart because I'm just like, first of all, that's not a good reason to start a business because you're running from something else. Just speaking from experience, it's not going to work. But then if you think that you're in a place where, if you think that you're not going to have to deal with clients running a template shop, like you're in for a surprise. You're still going to have client issues. And so learning how to draw those boundaries in a way that feels good to you and feels good to the clients is something you're still going to have to learn. And I just hated that. And I've heard that a lot. I've heard a variation of that theme a lot. And it just breaks my heart. I really like being a web designer, and I want everybody who's called to do it to enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it and love their clients. Life is easier when you love your clients. People just, and that's the first thing that comes in. When you're really good with boundaries and you can draw a very clear, clean container around what works for you and what doesn't, it creates safety for clients. It creates freedom for you. And it's fun. It opens you up to have so much more fun in your business. And that's what I want for everyone else, for designers of all kinds.
And I love that you are putting that in that light, because I need some place to go as a person who's moving from, say, an industry where I had certain things already in place around me to my own business where it's a little bit of a free-for-all. I'm flying this ship on my own. I need that community, and I need those other like-minded people to help me understand best practices like what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think the community aspect is going to be one of the best parts of the membership, because it's going to be other people who are dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. So it's going to reinforce that, number one, you're not alone. You're not the only person dealing with this. We've all done it. We've all had the bad clients, the clients who are, why have you called me and texted me and WhatsApp me and emailed me in the last 20 minutes? What has happened in your world? Why? Why? It literally everything that you've gone through, we've all gone through. And so I think it helps to see that you're not alone. You're not doing anything wrong. It's not your fault. And there are some really easy, clear steps that you can take to rectify that. It's not as hard as you think it's going to be.
Okay. So I need to join.
If I'm scared if I do that. If it works.
So how can listeners connect with you?
So I have a YouTube channel that I'm aiming at web designers, and it's got all kinds of interviews with other industry experts. So anybody that I think is doing really important, interesting work, I'm interviewing them and getting it out there. Other web designers and also graphic designers. So I have some AI people in there as well. But like anybody who I think is doing work that will benefit designers, that's what's on the channel. And then if you want to come to my site, I have a whole page for web designer resources. My site is swayrisecreative.com. And I have a page, I have a freebie that is really good, and it's got scripts for the top 3 like issues that we face as web designers. So like scope creep and extra revisions and asking for work on weekends and stuff.
See, where were you in my life?
It's a really good freebie, and it starts like with the main mindset shift that you need to go through. And then I've got like the actual scripts in there that you can adopt. And even just, it's so funny because the mindset work is really important because it gets you to think about yourself in a different way. Like the big thing I say is you're a surgeon, not a store clerk. So it's not your job to go running around, making your client happy with every single thing, getting all the different sizes and colors of shirts and skirts. That's not your job. Not a store clerk. You're a surgeon. You're an in-demand expert here to solve their problem. And they need to come in and sit down and be quiet and listen to you and listen to what you say and follow your guidance and expertise. And so when you start to make that shift, and we talk about that a lot in the course, but when you start to make that shift, it starts to make a really big impact in how you see yourself. But then on top of that, when you actually read the scripts, I think it solidifies it in your mind of, oh, that's how I can say that. Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound bad. That doesn't sound confrontational. It doesn't sound negative. It's actually really positive and encouraging, but it's drawing a really clear line. So if you want that freebie, you can go to swayrisecreative.com/blueprint.
We are going to link that in the show notes. Guaranteed. Awesome. I love it. Diane, it has been so lovely to talk to you and learn from you. This has been so valuable.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, this has been a pleasure. Thanks so much for giving me a chance to talk about what I love. It's really fun.
Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.